In today's video, we are going back in time. We're going to be taking a look and delving into my album collection and going back and talking about the first 10 albums that I ever had. This is a trip that I'm looking forward to doing. I already thought I'd done it quickly. I put together 10 albums that I thought were the first 10 that I had. And then I was going through some photos the other day, and I found one of me on my 6th birthday. And in my hands, I'm holding an album. Now, I didn't know what the album was, but I recognised the label in the centre of it. So I did some sleuthing around the net and found out that it was from a label called Top 6. Now, Top 6 used to make singles, 7-inch 45s, with 3 records on each side, and they were a budget record done by session artists. And they also put out 4 albums. The one that I had in my hands was one of them. So I checked them out online, and I went through that. They only did 4 albums. I went through the 4 albums and saw this cover. And the minute I saw the cover, I knew that was the one that I had. And it was called Top 12 Volume 2, and it had 12 songs on it from 1964. So I take it that's when it came out. I don't know how I got it. I would imagine that I was given it as a birthday present for my 6th birthday. So after thinking that another album had been my first and finding out that the Top 12 one was, my second album was bought 5 days after my 6th birthday. It was an album that was released just a few days afterwards, and it was the Beatles' Revolver album. I remember going to the shop and buying it with my birthday money. It's a fantastic album, and all these years later, it's still my favourite Beatles album. Of course, we already had the albums from Please Please Me right through to Rubber Soul, because my mum and dad had them and my brother had them, so we already had those. So I bought Revolver for myself, and it was the first one. Happy, happy days for me, that was. The third album, we're going to 1967. It's now my 7th birthday. Here we can see me on the seafront at Burnham-on-Sea in front of my mum and dad's arcade with a record, and it's the Monkees' Headquarters. That's my third album. What a great album it was as well. There's a couple of records that have always stayed in my mind. One of them was called Zilch, and the other one in America was called Randy Scouse Git. And you can't say that over here because it's derogatory to somebody who comes from Liverpool. So they looked for an alternate title for it in the UK. And that's what they called it, alternate title. And it did very well in the charts as well. So that's the third album. The next 2 are a reminder that I loved TV theme songs as a child. And I still do today. First up, The Avengers and Other TV Themes. I bought this because I liked the cover on it. And then when I played the records, the songs on it were brilliant. I really enjoyed them. They were all American TV themes from the early 60s. And I played it and played it and played it. And I haven't seen it for absolutely years until last week. Last week, I was looking through once I'd realised that I'd made some mistake with the first record, I started hunting around for others. And I found this on YouTube. All of the songs on it were separately placed on YouTube, so I was having to listen to them. And it brought back so many memories of when I was a little boy. And so this was an album that was in my first 10. I haven't seen it for 40 odd years, I shouldn't think. It's been lovely to listen to them this week. Like the next one, Music of Mystery, Mayhem and Murder. I've had to read that because I never remember what it is. And this one was slightly different, on a budget label in the UK called MFP. And it was basically a James Bond oriented album. It had a couple of theme songs from it, and there was some incidental music, but it was really, really good. And I found that again a couple of months back. The memories that it's brought back to me of being a little boy with these records was just brilliant to take me back to a time that I totally forgotten about. So we come into compilations next. Number 6, Bill Haley, Rock Around the Clock. One of many Rock Around the Clock albums, I have to say. But I remember buying this one. And it's full of the songs that you would expect to see on it. Rock Around the Clock, obviously, Shake, Rattle and Roll. But there were songs on there I loved, like ABC Boogie, Dim Dim the Lights. Brilliant, brilliant stuff. And it's an album that I have loved for years and years and years. As well as this next one, Buddy Holly's Greatest Hits. Now, Buddy Holly came to me when I was a baby, really, because my dad used to have a reel-to-reel tape recorder, and my godfather owned a record shop. So there was a bit of pirating went back on right back in the 50s and 60s. And my godfather used to make tapes up for me dad to play in the arcade. And on one of those tapes was Rave On. And I loved that when I was little. And as I grew, I started to like Buddy Holly songs as I'd heard them. And this was the first Buddy Holly album I bought. It was a cheapo at the time, but it's still brilliant, and it's got some great songs on it. The next two are from Christmas of 1972. Mum and Dad bought me them, to be honest with you. And they are two K-Tel albums. And they were probably the first two K-Tel albums that were ever put out in the UK. I know there was an American label and they've been doing it for ages over there. But these two were the first. 20 all-time greats of the 50s was one. And that had songs by the likes of Mitch Miller, Johnny Ray, Johnny Mathis, Tony Bennett. Oh, I could go on and on. It was great. I know there were songs from my mum and dad's era, but I liked them. I really did. And I still do. I'm very much a 50s, 60s and 70s guy, I suppose. And I loved having them. But that was the 8th of the albums in my first 10. 9th is the next one, 25 Rockin' and Rollin' Greats. That's still up here as well. That was a bit more rock and rolly, and that was good. I liked it, even though it had a couple of the songs on there were re-recorded and didn't sound quite as good. But it was an important part of my collecting life, if you like, because those two albums, the two K-Tel ones, started me on a road of collecting most of them. Even though they were cut down to fit the songs on there, and even though it sounded tinnier as that went towards the middle of the record, they were just great. And they helped pad out my record collection, if you like. And finally, the 10th one, I got a couple of years after that, even though it had come out in 1969. And this is a Decca compilation. And it's called The World of Hits, Volume 2. And had songs by people like The Move and The Small Faces on. Very much that middle 60s vibe, with The Moving on towards the end. As you know, up there somewhere, I'll have a photo of it for you so you can pause and read it yourself. But those are my first 10 albums. I hope you've enjoyed watching these. I may follow it up with some more like that. But if you've enjoyed this video, then I'm sure you may enjoy this playlist over here, because it's all my music videos that I've done since I've been doing YouTube. I'll see you on the next one.